Larry Groce, mountainstage.org is the spot to hear the show if it's not on your public radio station. One of our guests on today's show is a woman you already know if you know anything about singer-songwriters in America, Dar Williams. She's been around for, well, now it's been almost 15 years or so, maybe more.
A little more than 15
years.
Yeah,
since the first time we saw you, and we saw you towards the beginning of your great career. The latest one is called Many Great Companions, is the name of the CD, and it's actually a best of. But it's an unusual best of because it has two CDs. One of them is the original versions of a lot of her favorite songs, and then there's a remix where Dar actually re-recorded some of those and some other ones too. First of all, who picked the songs, you or?
Me, mostly. I have a nice sibling-like relationship with the label and people I work with, so there was discussion, but nothing was, it was not contentious.
Yeah.
And I had the final word.
Well, that's good that you did. But sometimes it's hard for an artist. I mean, you know which ones you like the best, what's your favorites, but you also must know by this time what your crowds react to.
That is exactly, that was the reward of having a very audience-based career, is that it was pretty clear to me what to put on. And now I'm getting a little bit of feedback from the audience about stuff I forgot. But that's okay too.
You only have, what is it?
Yeah,
on
20
12
songs.
Yeah, I mean, you got on both together, there's 20 total songs, not counting the ones that are duplicated on
right.
the two versions.
Right, right. So
yeah.
There's a lot, yeah. And then we do, and then the ones I re-recorded, I just did because I said, please let me re-record some of these things that I did when my voice was so young and I hadn't traveled. I didn't even know how much traction the songs would have with audience members, like when I was a boy.
Right.
You know, I didn't. There's no connection. You know, it sounds like it's in a recording studio because I'm not feeling the story that I've come to hear through playing it for audiences. So.
And you know, now you know how that resonates with so many. Is that your most popular song?
Yeah.
I would think so. It's a wonderful song. I can't imagine anybody not relating to that.
'Cause I never took heavy words for granted, and I never took the undeserved advantage. No, I never took the easy way, so you can take it a little easy on me now.
I was surprised at how well it hung together by putting those songs from so many different eras on the one disc, and sometimes it sounds like I've heard people make an album in 1994, and then they made one last year, and it sounds like another planet, you know.
Right,
but these
right.
really actually hung together very well. Did you have to re-EQ them or do anything different, or was it just straight off the masters?
I think it was pretty straight off the masters. I guess, you know, it's convenient that it's not like I was starting in the early 70s and then disco came along and I had to, you know, you hear that.
It's usually production that you right away,
Yeah.
you're hearing something.
You hear that, and I do hear the different producers' sensibilities on this, but, you know, you hear these folks and they do the straight acoustic stuff, and then suddenly you hear that, you know, and they try to kind of go disco, and then in the 80s they're like, forget it, I don't want to do this anymore, and they go back. But so I was, you know, singer-songwriterdom was more of an evolution than something that required a lot of fits and starts, and so I think there is consistency in those recordings.
Well, there is in the voice too, which is somewhat surprising, even though it's not a 40-year range, it is a 15-year range, and you may hear the difference greatly, but I don't hear it as much as you do. Obviously, you can tell certain things, and I wouldn't know whether it was older or younger, but slight difference, but not a big difference. So which ones? How did you decide which to record over? Just because you weren't quite. You thought you could do a better job or a different kind of a job? A different
kind of job. The two kind of camps were things to re-record because my voice had come that much farther, or the songs had come farther, you know, a distance, or stuff that was kind of gussied up that we wanted to just try stripping down, like What Do You Hear in These Sounds, and a song called I'll Miss You Till I Meet You. Both of those, there was this enthusiasm in the studio where we kept on adding on more layers. You know, one just because we thought there was a radio potential, so we were trying to kind of cater to that. And the other was, you know, just I couldn't stop harmonizing. So this time I just pulled it all back. And Gary Loris from the Jayhawks did the harmony. And he's such a great, you know, he's a wonderful, he just kind of comes out of the woodwork, does his perfect harmony, kind of goes back in the woodwork, and so.
Your voices blend very well. He was a producer of this too, this session.
And it was, his voice, you know, he and Marshall Crenshaw, both of them left the studio, and I said, wow, you know, we have this magic, you know, in our voices, and then I've heard them sing with other people. They have the magic. They can sound that way. They are the kind of guys who can have a little ear inside their ears. And so Gary, you know, found me, and you know, it was almost like me, but the male version, you know, so it wasn't just the layers of self. It was perfect.
I resist with defiance, not the valor of a mystic silence. I will fight the dizzy spiral of goodbye. And it's alright, it's alright, it's alright. It's alright, it's alright, it's alright. Please don't say you don't love me. Never dangle any sword above me with the kind of change that severs me in two. Give me air, the rising glasses. Could you slow it down like molasses as I salvage my old self away from you?
When you go out nowadays, do you usually go out alone or do you go with a band?
I've come to play with, I was playing with a trio with a keyboard player and a percussionist, and then I discovered that playing with the keyboard player, this guy named Bryn Roberts, he sings so beautifully that it's kind of like, you know, a lot of musicians in one. And so he and I go out as a duo, but that packs enough punch for some people while keeping the lyrics very distinct for other people, and that's what I do now. And I do some stuff solo.
I would think that your hardcore fans like to hear you this way, stripped down, because they love the songs, they love the words. Right. Am I right about that?
Yeah, the ones, and then there's some who, and I've heard, you know, I was on the Cayamo cruise of, you know, folk music, and I heard people with different bands and solo, and I was really able to get a sense of, there is something to adding the resonance and rhythms of another instrument, and so I feel like I'm helping I know what it's like the wife would say, I like you solo, and the husband would say, I like you with the band. Or the husband would say, you know, I really, you know, want you by yourself, and the wife would say, no, we need a band. You know, so it wasn't determined by sex, but it was definitely a split that I would say, and I feel like this is kind of riding the middle. So I can see why people want a little bit more than just me, which kind of felt like me sort of jumping out of my car with my guitar, you know, putting on my shoes, jumping on the stage and playing.
And as it swings through Harlem, it's every shade of blue into the city of the new, brand new, and the hustle holds a life. We thought we did it on our own. I thought I had no place or past. Time was too slow, but then too fast. The river takes us home at last.
Mostly you've been on the show by yourself. You haven't
Right.
brought,
Well, I
except for
brought
that
Cry,
time.
Cry, Cry.
You did. Well,
was
that's right.
And we sang Cry, Cry, Cry. You were
Yeah,
so
Lucy and
cool.
Richard.
Yeah, you let us do the song Cry, Cry, the Johnny Cash Cry, Cry,
Yeah.
Cry as the finale.
Yeah.
And Buddy Miller just ripped
Yeah.
it up on his
Yeah.
guitar, and they had trumpets. One of the bands had trumpet players,
Right,
and
that's
so they
right.
did this old-fashioned Johnny Cash
Yeah, right,
version
yeah.
of it with a trumpet solo.
That's
and
right.
It was, I mean, that was an experience of.
I
I mean,
remember
that was one
that.
of my best.
I'm glad you let us do it. Usually we don't do a song that's identified with a group or an individual for a
Right.
finale because it's not fair to the other acts.
But
In
this
this
is
case,
Johnny.
everybody was familiar with it, and we had
Yeah.
Buddy on, as you say, which
Right.
is kind of hard to beat him.
Right. Oh,
So
it was so magical. That one of the best moments of my performing life.
Oh, that was fun. Well,
Paramount Stage.
here she is, Many Great Companions. It's got 2 CDs, and one is a CD of her best of, taken from her albums, just the cuts from the album. And then the other CD is remakes. You'll hear some of those ones on the other CD, and you'll hear some other songs too, and many people join her. So this is worth checking out, whether you're an old-time fan or whether you are just being introduced to Dar Williams, because this is a good place to start. Great to see you again. Thanks.
Thank you, Larry.